Hi, Jules and Mike. Today we're going to do a roller class again. I think the roller is really fantastic for both of you, Jules if you're just doing it this time, or both you and Mike. It's wonderful to achieve these extensions, the opening up of the chest and providing balance, so that was why I decided that I would go for that today. So we're going to begin down onto the floor. So just carefully come down however works best for you. And I want you to think about a cat stretch and a Blackpool donkey, this flexion and extension of your spine, which we're going to try to achieve using the roller. So take the roller, place it about the base of your shoulder blades, there or thereabouts, wherever feels comfortable to you. And you're going to clasp your hands behind your middle skull. Reach your legs out nice and long and squeeze the inner thighs towards each other. Try not to rest too heavily on the roller, so immediately you've got your upper abdominals beginning to activate. Now we're going to find a lengthened position. Be careful that your elbows don't drop down too much. Keep the length in your neck, eyes up a little. And then you're going to continue that lengthened position then into a shortening of the middle upper back and really find that lovely extension, visualizing a little bit of a Blackpool donkey. Remember the opposite of the cat stretch. So you'd reach the tail away and you'd reach through the crown of the head. A little bit of length at the back of the neck. Pick your head, neck and chest up. Now on the first one, you can bring your arms forwards, hip bones draw back ever so slightly, and then come all the way up and just take a very gentle stretch forwards. And again, think about an imaginary wheel in your pelvis going in reverse. As you come back down onto the roller, you can take your hands behind your middle skull again, lengthen and wrap around. Just use a range that feels good to you this particular moment. If you want to make it slightly more challenging and go into a deeper flexion than you can, if you're feeling a little stiff and tight, just use a range that works well for you. And again, always lengthening first. Imagining your pelvis is on a wheel going in reverse so that you don't make all the extension come into your low back. A little bit of length at the back of the neck. Pick your head, neck and chest up. Now if you can, to make it a little more challenging, leave the hands behind the middle skull. Coming up and over. And the last one, all the way down. Lengthen, 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 and come all the way back. Now from here, if you can, if it feels doable to you, you can release and just allow your head to come back. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. Then reach those arms overhead, arms come up, chin towards chest, and slowly bring it all the way back up. Now I'm going to pull the skin from under each of my seat bones and then take a little stretch forwards, flexing through my ankles, push through the big toes and take that lovely stretch. Restep, low back, middle back, upper back and eyes. Now take your roller and you're going to sit on it. So we sit right on the edge of it, and if you are doing this one, Mike, make sure that you're not leaning back or forwards. Get Jules to spot the position of your shoulders, your upper middle back, the head relative to the spine. So you're sitting as tall as you can. Perhaps even one of the soft balls in between your knees, or a block. It's entirely up to you, a cushion or something that works well for you. And I just want you to sit super tall, feet not too close towards you. I'm going to do a little bit of rotation here. So I'm going to have my left hand onto the inside edge of my, just loosely onto the inside edge of my left knee. And I'm going to now draw my other hand back. And I want you to imagine that you're trying to get a wallet or a pistol out of a holster in the sort of low hip region. And that encourages ourselves to come into a baby rotation. And then I'm going to slide the right hand to the inside and imagine drawing a pistol or a wallet out of the back pocket. And just again, as you did with the last exercise, just warm up into this. You don't need to make this rotation enormous from the beginning. Just build up the little rotational position, increments, every repetition getting a little bigger. And again, so things I want you to watch out for. Be really careful that this shoulder doesn't roll forwards, lifting the elbow up and the shoulder rolls forwards. Keep thinking about your elbow going straight back and an opening of the chest. I'm always pushing my hand a little into my knee and my knee a little into my hand. And that assists with helping me to really sit up. And again, rotation, and rotation, and rotation. So from here, let's do one more each side. Eyes very much involved. We're going to pause and we're going to do a little lateral flexion. So remember, the cues for lateral flexion are the ribs beginning to part. So we can just take the hands, pop them behind the middle skull again, sit super tall, remember to squeeze an imaginary ball or cushion, maybe it's not imaginary, and you're going to laterally flex across to the side. Really feel that lovely lengthening all the way back up, and we laterally flex across to the other side. So really feel your opposite seat bone pushing down to anchor. So if I'm going across to my right, my left ribs are parting and my left seat bone sitting down. And back, across to the side, lateral flexion, and all the way back. Last one, across to the side, lateral flexion, and all the way back up. Now we're going to do both of those off the roller, slightly more challenging. If you feel that it's hard for you to sit up like this, then perhaps roll up the end of your mat, sit on it, sit on the cushion, sit on a book, sit on something, a block, a towel, something that just helps you to prop yourself up a little. If you can, you're going to reach your legs out in front of you. If tight hamstrings are bothering you, sit in the diamond position. If you are sitting with your legs out in front of you, pull that skin again from underneath your seat bones to really help you to get right up on those seat bones. And this time we're going to pop the roller right on top of our heads with just a light draw down on both ends. And I want you to think about reaching the crown of the head up and into the roller, so it's encouraging a sense of length. Keep visualizing with your pelvis that the wheel now of the pelvis is very slowly going forwards, which is going to help you to sit up on your seat bones as opposed to sitting back and sort of collapsing in the lumbar spine. So from here, if your legs are long like so, squeeze the inner thighs together. If they're like so, just feel that you are as stable as you can be, seat bone to seat bone. And you're going to slowly from there begin your rotations again. So as I rotate to the right, I'm really focusing on pushing down through my right seat bone, back through center. As I rotate to the left, really focus on that left seat bone pushing down. There should be an evenness left to right. Really focusing on those middle back rotators. Rotate, 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 and all the way back. Squeeze the legs together if they're out in front of you. Really draw length into the spine, up and into your roller. Are you breathing? If you can, you're going to exhale, 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 and inhale, inhale, inhale. Exhale, 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 and inhale, inhale, inhale. Now slowly from there, we're going to do lateral flexion from here. So I want you to again think about reaching into the crown of the head, parting those ribs, coming across to the side, all the way back up, and we go to the other side. So opposite seat bone, if I'm going to my left, I want to push my right seat bone down. And again, if I'm going to my right, I'm pushing my left seat bone down. And again, lengthen through the crown of the head into that roller. Forget you have hands, forget you have shoulders, just focusing on the ribs and all the way back up. And last one to the side, rolling over to the side and all the way back up. And then just slowly take your roller, pop it to one side. It might be that you just give yourself a little moment just to release off your hips like so. And then, because we've just done a lot of work with the spinal muscles running obviously left and right down both sides, we're going to massage the back for a second. So take the roller, make sure there's plenty of mat behind you. Clasp the hands behind the middle skull, bring those elbows in towards each other. Careful the chin isn't clamped to the chest. Draw your hip bones slightly backwards and start to pull that roller up towards nape of neck, top of shoulders. Pulling it down, 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 down. And again, we've done this enough times to know what feels good and what doesn't feel good. Try to keep your legs working as an even pair. Remember, if you draw those elbows in towards each other, you're going to access your middle back muscles more. A little tip to one side, quite literally a millimetre or so, and you can get the muscles running down both sides of our spine. Keep breathing, keep those hips up, keep the legs, the arms, everything working evenly. And whatever you do on one side, I want you to make sure you do it on the other side as well. So think about your head, it's just resting into your hands. And again, all the way back. Center your spine again. And then whenever you're ready, pause with the roller somewhere about the base of your shoulder blades. Place your bottom down. Reach one leg out, reach the other leg out. Just as we did at the beginning of the class, hip bones lightly drawing backwards as though we almost had a wheel going backwards. And you're going to slowly come all the way up and a gentle stretch forwards. Reset the low back, middle back, upper back and eyes. So now, having really thought about mobility of your spine, let's now do a little bit of stability. So we're going to do a little bit of planking onto the roller. So Jules, if your wrists are at all niggly, I know that we like to at least try to put a bit of weight bearing through them, but if they are at all niggled, then you could always do this without the roller elbows, okay? But we'll assume that your wrists will take a little bit of support. So with the plank, the position is obviously really important. And you're going to take your hands and you're going to rest them on either side of the roller, no wider than mat width. And I want you to really focus on sort of more this part of your hand. That's where the weight is predominantly going to go. Think less about first finger and thumb and more about this part of your hand, because that ultimately connects into our shoulder and our back better. And we've got a knee underneath each of our hip sockets and a hand pretty much underneath each of the shoulders. So if you want to have your hands a little in front of the shoulders because of discomfort through the wrists, please do. Neck is lovely and long, the bottom ribs lightly draw in. We've got that little bit of softness in the low back. Now whenever you're ready, you're going to tuck both toes underneath, take a wide full inhale, and as you exhale, you're just going to hover off your knees. So we quite literally find a baby hover, holding and breathing, and lower it back down. So that might be where you stay, it's up to you, but I'm going to offer you progressions. Inhale again, and as you exhale, notice how nothing is changing. The back shape doesn't change, the shoulders don't begin to round. So Mike, if you're doing this, be careful you just don't go into your upper back too much. Keep pushing your seat bones gently away from you and all the way back down. Now, if you wish, we make it slightly more challenging. So we hover and hold. And now we're going to reach one leg out, reach the other leg out. Hold it here. Then we can bring the foot back in and down. So that might be the level that you stay at, but we're going to progress it again if you wish. Also remember that when you lean or rest on your wrists, imagine that you pull your forearm out of the wrist and then up and over, like so. So really think about this lengthening away from the wrist joint and then bring it up. And I'm kind of tractioning that up and over. So don't just think weight bear directly down into the wrist. Stabilize the shoulder blades, inhale to prepare, bottom ribs, seat bones sticking out a little, and pause. Now we'll reach one leg back, other leg back, hold. Progression would be to take one leg out, other leg out, hold. Back in, back in, back in, back in. So you can take breaks if you wish, but otherwise we go out, out, to the side, to the side. You could do different legs every time to make it more challenging. If you need breaks, please take them. And again, out, 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 and out. Back in, back in, back in, back in. We'll do one more. Make sure the shoulders aren't grounding. Back, back, out, out. Back in, back in, back and back. Allow your knees to gently come down and just take a little stretch. You can draw that roller up towards your elbows if you wish, and back in. And again, reaching out and all the way back in. So we're going to do a little bit of prone work from here. So we're going to do some swan. So allow your roller to be in front of you. You want to make sure that if your mats are a little thicker, that you're not pulling the roller over the end of the mat. It just makes life a little bit more challenging for you. And you're going to begin with your arms out in front, like so. So I want you to really focus here on what your head does with movement. So if I just put the roller away for a second, and we think about how movement has almost progressed from where we were as babies. If your hands were down by your sides or they were in a little almost swan preparation position, if you were a baby and you wanted to see, the first thing that would come up would be your head. So it's actually quite a nice exercise to sometimes imagine you were a baby and your head comes up and you maybe want to look over your shoulder. What happens to your opposite leg? And back. So if I go over my shoulder to look, if I'm looking over my right shoulder, I might find that my opposite leg, certainly my left leg, lengthens a little and back down. And again, if I lift my eyes up, I obviously don't want to see things all the way up at the ceiling. I'm just looking ahead and looking around. I look a little over my shoulder and back and down. And one more lift. Remember the importance of your eyes. My opposite leg pushes away and back down. So bear that in mind when we go into our swan. So I now want you to have your arms out in front, the same stability of your shoulder blades as you had a moment ago for the plank. And I want you to think about the length in your thigh bones. So they're not necessarily floating, they're just long and lengthened. I've got the roller just above my wrists and the soft V in my shoulder blades. And you're going to slowly let that head come up a little again. Now from there, my eyes will look a little in front of the roller, and I'm just going to shorten that middle upper back just a touch without using too much arm, and bring it all the way back down again. Inhale to prepare. As we exhale, lift the head, neck and chest up, eyes look a little forwards, reach those thigh bones away, allow the ribs to push forwards and up a little, and lift perhaps a little higher. All the way back down. So if this is all working quite well for you, see if you can come to the full swan position. So inhale to prepare. And as you exhale, the thigh bones lengthen, the eyes lift. The eyes are currently a little above and beyond your roller. Now from there, I'm not going to use my shoulders as such to pull the roller back. They're just there as stabilizers.
Try and visualize that you could move from your middle upper back and lift. And if those palms come onto the roller, then great. If not, it really doesn't matter. And all the way back down.
Now, if all is going well here, and we'll try one more. First, the head comes up.
Remember, your eyes are going to look a little in front of you. The shoulder blades are just stable. And then slowly from there, think less about the arms, more about the power in your middle upper back, bringing you up. The ribs are forwards, the thigh bones are long and lengthened, and all the way back down.
Now, if you can, we're going to do a little single arm, just a couple. So we have the same start position. The head comes up,
the eyes look a little in front, the shoulder blades are soft, the rib cage pushes forwards, and then slowly from there we're going to pause on one arm. And I'm going to now take the other arm as though I were looking over my shoulder again, bringing it back and all the way back down.
And again, eyes forwards with the roller. Use your middle upper back. Imagine there was a string on the crown of the head, or the roller was on the crown of the head again.
Take your other arm around. Imagine you were looking over your shoulder. Opposite leg reaches away and back and all the way back down.
Can we try for one more of these?
Eyes come up. Feel for that lovely little swan position. Taking it back. Looking over that shoulder. Bringing it back
and all the way back down. We just have one more.
Lift the head, neck and chest, the eyes look forwards. Don't lose sight of the careful precision of coming into extension. And pause, bottom ribs are in, and the arm comes back, looking over that shoulder. All the way down, and all the way back, and pause. So now I want you to take your roller, and you're going to place it behind you, and you're going to gently hold it on both ends. Now we're looking straight down. I'm just going to bring myself forwards a little bit, just to make sure I'm in view. And I'm looking straight down, and we're going to do a little bit of swimming and a little bit of heel beats. So from here, holding onto that roller, it's just touching your bottom right now. Think about the importance of the position of your head. Allow the head, neck and chest just to come up a little touch so it's in line with the rest of the spine. Open your collarbones, feel your shoulder blades sink a little down your back. Again, reach those thigh bones away from you, pubic bone is heavy. Now hover gently your roller, holding and breathing. And I'm now going to reach the thigh bones a little longer so that the legs float. Keep that roller gently off your bottom, very subtly. And we're going to kick our thigh bones. Don't let your head, neck and chest come up so much that it bothers your neck, but certainly the gaze can be a little further forwards if it helps with extension. Kick, 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 kick. Thigh bones lengthened, hips in extension. We'll do 5 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. Let everything rest down for a moment, and now slightly change how we hold the roller. So now I've got it in my palms, and we're going to do a little bit of heel beats from here. If you can, and it is slightly more challenging, you're going to pop the palms facing down so that you're rather like the original anatomy poster man. The roller is just and no more off my bottom. If it's too tricky to have the palms down, have your palms facing up. And now I'm going to pull those heels together, feeling my upper thigh bones squeezing together. The bottom is working now. Keep that roller lightly off the bottom as we beat the heels together for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, pause. Can you make your legs longer? Can you keep your upper middle back working? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, pause. And again, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, pause. And again, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, pause. Lengthen everything and lower it down. Take your roller just pop it for a moment in front of you. We'll stretch the back out. Hands to just beneath the armpits, push all the way up. Bring each of your knees underneath you and take a moment to take a lovely stretch out for the back. Breathe. And taking one hand over, the other hand follows. Lift all the way up and all the way over your opposite heel. And again, bringing it up and around to the other side, lifting your seat bone up and over your opposite heel. Armpit is heavy. Really feel that weight through the armpit closest to the mat. And then back through center. If you need a little more time to stretch your back out, please just take a moment, pause the video and stretch the back if you need to. We're going to do here now though a few little tricep exercises. So take your roller, place it onto your mat like so, and we're going to find a gentle box position again. Now I want you to be really careful that you don't end up pulling your roller too close in towards you. And we're going to place just lightly the left hand only onto the roller. It's quite light, so I can lift it up and down. Now my other hand rests onto my back, palm is up. And I'm pushing my seat bones away and a little up just to get back into a nice neutral position. Now simply from here with a long neck, with my arm almost a little in front of me, I'm going to bend and straighten. Bend and straighten. So keep thinking length in the spine. Keep breathing into the widest part of your lungs. Breathing into the back and the base of your lungs. Breathing into the top almost of your shoulders. So keep focusing on bending and back up. Now your shoulder blades remain really stable. So we come down, we push up. So I'm quite light on my roller. Down and back up. Notice how the roller is a little in front of me. Down and back up. Now from here we're going to pause down here. So pretty much my forearm is horizontal. Tiny pulse, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. We'll do 4 more, 3 more, 2 more, and 1 more. All the way up. Bring my other hand on and place the other hand behind my back. Really think about the length in your spine. So if you need breaks, or Jules, if this is too much for you, you could always just take a break and skip this bit if you want to. Or you could try it on the mat. So if you had to get rid of the unstable surface, you could just do this on your mat, like so, depending on how your wrists are faring with this. But if you can, really think about an evenness, left to right. Be very mindful where your head is. Down, pushing up. Down, pushing up. Down. So I'm imagining that my elbow can come towards the floor. Maybe that little elbow tip touches and I'm pushing my seat bones long and lengthened away from me. The lower I come down, so there's no rounding of the back. On this next one, I'm going to pause down here, pretty much a horizontal forearm. And we're going to do little tiny pulses, up and down. Pulse, and pulse, and pulse, and pulse. We'll do 4 more. Try not to make it about your upper body doing the work, but more your tricep. 2 more, 1 more. And then both can come on. Reach it away and all the way back up. Now the next little exercise, we're going to focus on our ankles. So I want you, if you can, to sit down onto your feet, the fronts of your feet. And as you sit here, all I want you to think about doing is lifting one thigh bone. Lower it down. Lift the other. Lower it down. I'm going to do this facing you so you can see. Make sure you're on slightly squishy, that it's not
hard on the floor and hurting the small bones at the top of the foot. So we lift and lower. Now you'll notice that my upper body is not shifting from side to side. Do you have the same range left to right? So are you able to lift one up the same amount as the other? Now can you feel this in your ankle and the top of your foot? I'm going to spin it around again so that you can see. So this is really being stretched. Now remember, so we lift and lower, lift and lower. And if you are doing this together, you can spot each other. So are you shifting at all when you do this? And remember, if you have a lack of mobility in your ankles, that's going to have a terrible knock-on effect on your knees and your hips. So ankle mobility is really, really important. We'll just do a couple more of these. Lift and lower, lift and lower. Now slowly from there, we're going to lift all the way up. Now if you can, tuck those toes under and sit down onto your heels. Lift straight up, flatten the feet again and sit down. Lift all the way up, tuck the toes and down. Now again, Mike, if you're doing this and your knees are bothering you, please don't do it. If you feel aggravation in your knees, please try not to aggravate them further. And down. Now notice also how the upper body is staying upright all the time. Just do a couple more, and down, up, tuck, and down. Now just before we go on to the next exercise, if you were having any knee issues in that, something else you can still do working on your ankles is quite literally to take your feet and move all the foot around, move the ankles around, sort of like you're wringing out ankle joints, foot joints, all these little joints in our feet, ankles, top of the foot. So that's always an option if you can't get into sort of weight bearing through the knee and through the top of the foot. So it is really important, knowing that sometimes your knees can be a little troublesome as well, that we keep the ankles in good health. So now we're going to do a little bit of abdominal work. And again, you can do as much or as little of this as you wish. So I remember one comment you made, Jules, you said, oh, that class was almost a little, not beyond us, but pushing us to our limits. These abdominals are quite tough towards the end. You don't have to do them all. You might build up to them. So it's entirely up to you. The videos are there for you to go back to whenever you feel like. So whenever you're ready, take your roller and articulate carefully all the way down. So you're going to bring it down, 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 and pause. Now from here, if you're more comfortable, and let's say, Mike, your head is pushing right up like this, you might want to put a little block underneath your head or a little cushion under your head. We're now going to take our roller, carefully lift one leg. Now remember, even when you're lifting a leg, you don't want your stomach to be pushing out and not involved in the support of the back. So level sacrum, bottom ribs in. As you exhale, pick the other leg up. Now you're going to position this roller in between your knees and your arches and your sort of ankle region. And I'm going to try and have about the same amount of roller in front of my knee as I have at the end of my feet. Now from here, if I do nothing else, I can focus on, with my arms by my sides, just a little squeeze of the inner thighs. So feel how if you squeeze the upper inner thigh inwardly, you can feel a little bit of activity going on. Perhaps even you might feel more in your stomach. I also want you to feel that there is a little gold hook on your tailbone, and attached to it is a little gold thread, and that goes all the way up to the ceiling with a tiny little pulley system. And if I start to just turn the handle of the pulley system, imagine that the gold thread could lift your tail 1 millimeter.
And that should help to slightly tip your hips back a touch. So imagine the wheel starts to turn in reverse just a touch. And then the stomach is assisting with holding the legs up rather than your hip flexors just doing it. Now squeeze the roller gently as well. Now if all is well here, we're going to clasp the hands together and pop them behind the middle skull. Notice how I've got my shins up a little rather than just here. That might help with the tipping back slightly of the pelvis and the lifting of the tail. Relax your shoulders, bring your elbows into peripheral vision, squeeze gently the roller with length at the back of the neck. We're going to lift the head, neck and chest upwards and slowly bring it all the way back down. And again, a little bit of length at the back of the neck, pick your head, neck and chest up and squeeze gently onto that roller and all the way back down. And again, a little bit of length at the back of the neck, we're thinking flexion of the spine. Now as you come up this time, you're thinking about a wheel visualization of your upper abdominals, your head, and this time the wheel is going forwards and all the way down. Now maybe this is enough for you. But if you can, you're going to slowly lift your head, neck and chest. You're going to draw that roller a little more towards you. And then see if, as you take your head, neck and chest down, you can take your thigh bones a little away from you. And then as you lift your head, neck and chest up, you can draw both knees towards you and head towards the roller. And again, control this. You're only going to take your legs away from you as far as you can control the pelvis. So if, lift, 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 lift. So think the wheel is going backwards in your pelvis. So if, as you take the head, neck and chest down, you start to let the wheel go forwards on the pelvis, you're going to create a lot of discomfort in your low back. So I'm still visualizing the wheel in my pelvis tipping backwards, although the thigh bone is moving forwards. So we lift and we bring it down. Now slowly from there, you can do one more, lift, 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 lift. And by the way, the range can be much smaller than this if you wish. Taking it towards the floor and bringing the legs up. Take a little break for a moment. We're going to add a little bit to this. So from here, we're going to do a little bit of crisscross. So taking a little squeeze again onto those inner thighs, elbows into peripheral vision. I want you to lift your head, neck and chest up. Now from there, middle back rotation so that your elbow comes towards the outside edge of the roller. Come all the way back. Squeeze the roller to keep the pelvis stable and the middle back rotators take you to the other side. And again, squeeze the roller and bring it all the way back. Squeeze the roller, middle back rotation and bring it all the way back. Now, if all is going well, you can bring it to one side. I've gone to the right, come all the way down and back to that right again. All the way down. I'm not squeezing so much with my feet as I am my upper inner thighs. Down. Keep length in the spine, stable through the pelvis and up and over. Relax your feet. So watch, Mike, if you're doing this, that you've not got gripping toes. This is more about your inner thighs than it is about your ankles. Up to come over. One more. Up to come over. Now we've got two sides, so we need to do this on the other side. Up to come over. Now remember when we did the work in prone position, we remembered the importance of the eyes looking far away from us. So try not to let your eyes look down towards the ground because that's going to bring your chin more towards the chest. And again, in middle back rotation, squeeze the roller every time. And again, squeeze the roller. If you wanted to be really good, you could lift, as I've now changed direction, and as you come down, you take the roller a little away from you, and we switch to the other side, and take the roller a little away from you, switch to the first side, take the roller a little away, switch, and back. We'll just do one more each side. Remember that low back. If you're Feeling that it's gone into your back, please stop. All the way up. Bring it back to center. Let the head, neck and chest come down. You can take a moment. You could always just let your feet come down, give your hip flexors a little bit of a second. And now, last ab exercise, you might feel, do you know what, I've had enough. I'm just going to move on. But if you can, we're going to now just take the roller so that it's hanging, it's not touching the stomach at all, hanging vertically, and I'm gripping it with not only my inner thighs, but also the inner part of my arches and my ankles. Now from there, hands come behind the middle skull again, lift your head, neck and chest up. Now it might be that you need to support your head, and you could just do some tiny little pulses, lifting up like so. Now remember, we have that little tail lifted up by the gold thread, but if you can, first finger and thumb, make a diamond position, and I have framed the top of my roller with my first finger and thumb, and I'm going to lift, down a touch, lift, squeeze that roller, down a touch, lift, down a touch. We'll do 3 more, breathe, 1 more, bend the knees, head, neck and chest comes down, quietly take your feet down, roller can come down, and just slowly from there reach your legs out. It might be that you find a T position with the arms, let your thigh bones just roll out to the side and hold in a nice relaxed rest position for a second. And then you're going to think about a little bit of taking our roller and placing it under our hips. So I want you to just do a little bridge before we begin, just to get our back moving a little. I've placed the roller between my heels and my bottom. The arms are beautifully long and lengthened. Now slowly from there, allow your hip bones to lightly draw backwards. Imagine there was a ball in between your knees and you're going to lift up and pause. Now remember your little seat bone lights. They go from that dipped beam, they flick up into full beam, and that should get your bottom working and your hamstrings working. From the top, articulate on an exhale your spine all the way back down, and find your neutral position. And again, draw your hip bones lightly backwards. I want you to visualize the pelvis and the wheel again. And as you come up, the wheel is constantly rolling in a very slow reverse action. So keep thinking about your little seat bone lights, keep thinking about opening through this hip, keep thinking about that wheel. Inhale. And as you exhale, open your collarbones and lay the bones all the way back down, and pause. And again, last one, draw your hip bones lightly backwards, all the way up. Really visualize the wheel, really visualize your seat bone lights flicking into full beam. Can you feel both big toes? Have you pushed to the outside edge of your feet? So imagine you can feel both big toes, and that will probably activate your inner thighs a little more. Now from there, pull that roller directly underneath you and rest the back of your pelvis onto it. So if you hold both ends of the roller, it should feel fairly even. Now the danger when we place our pelvis like this onto the roller and we lift the legs up is that we flip our hips backwards. So that last bridge position is where we don't want to go. We want to stay as neutral through the pelvis as possible. So again, with careful consideration, for the abdominals, we pick one leg up to bent knee. As you exhale, pick the other leg up to bent knee, and we haven't just done the initial stages of coming into a bridge. So I'm imagining that I'm slightly, not actually, but slightly pouring my pelvis over the front edge of the roller. Careful of the rib cage, lovely open collarbones. Now we'll reach the legs up towards the ceiling, and because of all that last work that we did holding the roller, let's relax the inner thighs a little. So I've gone into an external rotation, and we let the legs come out to the side. Now that might be enough for you, but if you can, soften your knees a little. Take your hands onto the inside edges of your thighs and just hold. Now imagine thighs in straps here. You know how when we just have our thighs and we do openings with the legs? I want you to, feet in straps. I want you to really visualize exactly the same lengthening and stretch position. So in this position, and my feet are incredibly soft, I can feel that I'm even left to right. If you want to, you can take a little rock from side to side. It might just intensify your stretch a little. But I'm still thinking that my pelvis almost wants to move a little over the front edge of the roller. Hold and breathe. And then very slowly bringing your hands back down again. Draw those thigh bones all the way back. And you're now going to draw one in towards you. So I'm going to bring one in towards me and reach the other leg up. Perhaps hold under the knee joint if the knee bothers you at all, or over the top, it's entirely up to you. Now slowly from there, I want you just to lower that outstretched leg away from you, feeling a lovely hip stretch, a hip opener, and bring it back up, controlling your pelvis. And again, so as I lengthen, I'm not letting my back overarch. And as I bring it back up, I'm not letting the pelvis go into the backward wheel version of the bridge that we did earlier. So I'm keeping it really stable. And on this next one, I'm going to scrape the floor and move into a single leg bicycle, reaching away, scrape in and up. We'll just do 3 of these. Stability of the pelvis, stability of your shoulders, and reach. And now we're going to go the other way. We bend, we push out, lift all the way up. And every time that I lift that leg up, I'm thinking about the opposition between my heel and my seat bone, the length, and reach, 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 reach. So on this next one, I'm going to pause. Now from there, I'm going to reach the other leg. I'm going to start to straighten it and take a little hamstring stretch. Flex deeply through your ankle. You can take the other leg a little away from you if you wish. Keep focusing on your hamstring, on the stability of the pelvis, on pulling your seat bone on your hamstring lengthening leg right down. Reach, reach, reach. And then slowly from there, bring your other leg in. I'm going to do exactly the same on the other leg. Now, if you do feel you're moving around a little, because hamstring stretching on the roller like this can shift your position, then make little incremental changes. So if you can, we do exactly the same on the other side, reaching that leg away from you. Feel that hip open up. And then slowly from there, lifting back up. So I'm pulling that seat bone down, reaching away and lifting up with stability in the pelvis. Reaching and lifting. So on my next one, we move into the single leg bicycle by bending and reaching and really focus on stability in the pelvis when you take that leg to fully outstretched. Reach and back in. And on this next one, we go the other way. So stability in the pelvis, push it away, lift up. And again, reach out, 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 and back up. One more. Reach out, 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 out. Feel yourself scraping along the floor and pause. Now from there, if you can, we're going to take our other leg. We've stretched this hamstring already. We're going to start to take our other leg, reaching it up and try not to let the back flatten. So exactly as we would in a reformer class, we don't let the hip bones pull backwards as we stretch out the hamstring. Flex deeply through your ankle. Take the other leg only as far away from you as you feel is appropriate. Holding and breathing. And then slowly from there, start to bring your outstretched leg in. Can you go into a little figure 4 position?
Again, I'm trying to take my pelvis almost a little over the front edge of the roller, and we're going to roll a little away from the direction of our stretch. So in my mind, I'm thinking that my foot comes towards me, my opposite knee away from me. My supporting thigh bone pulls in, but at the same time, my pelvis is almost pushing away. So we've got all these oppositional stretches going on. And if I'm stretching my right side, piriformis, gluteal region, then I'm rolling a little to the left to intensify the stretch. And you can do a couple of these, just see how it feels. And then we'll switch and do the same on the other side. So pushing a little away, pulling a little in towards you, take a little stretch across to the side. You might find that one feels tighter than the other. And again, across, 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 and all the way back. We'll just do one more, across, and back in. Carefully allow one foot to come down, carefully allow the other. Push the roller away from you, articulate your spine down, and you can just rest your legs round about the squishy part of your calf, top of the calf, and I want you just to massage left to right. It doesn't matter if they go the same way, if they go a different way, just give yourself a little massage. You're then going to move the roller a little tiny bit further down to where the calf starts to narrow, and again, little massage. And then finally down to just around about the Achilles tendon, whatever feels good to you. Maybe play about with the position there, little massage. So now we're going to bring it up, and I just want you to be really careful as you do this. One foot, then the other. Lift one leg up. Use your abdominal wall, your breathing to lift the other. And I want you to come into flexion. So I really want you to stretch your back for a moment there. Just hold and breathe. Holding and breathing. Now slowly from there, you're going to start to rock. And I want you to be thinking about the pelvis wheel is going backwards and the upper body wheel is going forwards. And eventually you'll feel that you can come all the way up and you're going to lie on your roller now. So when you take your roller, can you place it carefully so that it isn't going to roll around? Sometimes they've got a little life of their own. And you're going to come on to the very end and you're going to sit, arms in front of you, just as we've done before. Draw the hip bones slightly backwards and bring it all the way down and pause. Now from here, making sure that you feel even, left to right, sacrum is even, middle back, in between your shoulder blades is even. Your head, the skull, is sitting evenly. And you're going to very slowly from there, just draw your hip bones lightly, lightly, lightly backwards so the little gold thread on your tail is subtly lifted. Find your inner thighs, find your big toes. There's an evenness left to right on both hands. And as you exhale, you'll pick one leg up to bent knee. Lower it all the way back down again. Just feel what happens as you bring the other leg up. So let your body work this out as you alternate from side to side. What do you need to do to find stability? Can you lengthen a little more? Can you remember what it felt like to push your head into the roller at the beginning? And again, we lift and we lower and we lift and we lower. And if you can, you're going to lift and hold. Think about that little gold thread, and then you're going to pick your other leg up and pause. Now slowly from there, maintain the angle behind your knees. You take one leg towards the floor. Notice how the angle has never changed behind my knee, and bring it back up. The other leg towards the floor and all the way back up. So as you get more confident with this, and you realize that you can maintain stability in your entire spine, not just through the pelvis, bottom ribs are down,
Then you can take the leg, the foot, a little closer towards the floor. Down and back up. Last one, down and back up. And then slowly take one all the way down, the other all the way down. Locate your big toes and pause. So from there you're going to bring both arms up, palms face, reach the fingertips up, and then just allow your shoulders to drop down and around the roller. We reach up, we drop down. We reach up, we drop down. So just feel how the shoulder blades pull away from the spine and then they almost hug the spine. This is a protraction, which is pulling away from the spine, and a retraction towards the spine of the shoulder blades. Pulling them away and up and allowing them to hug and be round. And a couple more and down. Now slowly from there, straight into a scissor action with those arms. Scissor and scissor. Now keep reminding yourself about your big toes. They are still in connection with the floor. Pause and bring your palms so they face back behind you, and we repeat. So up and over, up and over, up and over, up and over. So you're really focusing on this scissor action. The back palm is towards the floor, the knees aren't waggling around, and on the last one we pause. Palms now face away from you. Take the arms back behind you. See if you can get those nails, the back of the hands, to touch the floor, and we circle all the way around, 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 and back up and over. And again, palms are facing up as we come all the way around. Feel that stretch through the front of the chest, up and over. All the way around. Can you still feel those big toes? 2 cups of water balanced on both of your knees. Now we go the other way. Down, the palms are facing up as we come all the way up and over. And repeat. Spin the palms around from the upper arm bone. That little spin of the palm comes. So really feel that upper arm bone rotating outwardly as you come up and over. And then slowly from there, you're going to bring yourself into a little capital E or goalpost position. And you're going to allow those elbows to try to seek the floor. If they don't come all the way to the floor, it doesn't matter. And then again, that upper arm bone just externally rotates. And allow yourself to stretch through the front of those pecs. Now, if your arms are up here, that's absolutely fine. Remember, you might want a little narrow towel underneath your middle skull, Mike, if you're doing this. You don't want your head to be too far back. And then slowly from there, just reach those arms overhead. And then just little snow angels down by our sides. And up and overhead, and I'm trying to keep a tiny bend in my elbows so that I get a bigger stretch through the front of my chest. And again, up to come over the top and all the way back down. Keep stability through the knees. Up to come over, 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 and all the way back down, 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 down. And then on this last one, bring your arms up, palms face. Take your arms out to the side, leave them at roller height. Reach the fingertips away, make 2 fists, roll the knuckles a little in, roll the knuckles a little away. Feel your wrists now, flamenco wrists one way. Keep breathing, and flamenco wrists the other. And then slowly from there, bring it all the way back up. Clasp the hands together, put them behind your middle skull. We're going to come into a little chest lift, so soften your shoulder blades, elbows come into peripheral vision, and lift your head, neck and chest. And lay the bones back down. And again, length at the back of the neck, lift your head, neck and chest. And lay all the way back down. So I want you to remember, as you lift and peel, getting the feedback from the roller, imagine the wheel now of your upper body going slowly forwards. Now, if you can, bring your hands forwards, then back, push yourself a little up. You're going to very slowly from here, bring your
your bottom a little more towards the first third of your roller, and then you'll come down so that the edge of the roller is positioned round about the middle of your shoulder blades. Now, if this bothers your sort of areas of trauma in your spine or in sort of post-operatively, Jules, don't do it. Just stay with yourself completely supported by the roller as we were a moment ago. But if you can, bring your heels so that they tuck into both edges of the roller. And you're going to now think about the very beginning of the class where we found a level position and then we wrapped up and around the edge of the roller. Length at the back of the neck and up and into flexion. Squeeze an imaginary ball in between your knees. And again, we begin from a lengthened position. Watch your low back doesn't flatten too much. Sorry, we want it to flatten a little more. Watch that you don't allow it to push away and create a curve in your low back. Allowing the spine to be long and lengthened and then shortening that middle upper back as you come around. Length at the back of the neck, pick the head, neck and chest up. If it's easier, take your feet slightly further apart for greater stability. Lengthen and wrap around the end of the roller. Length at the back of the neck and pick your head, your neck, your chest up. Now, if you can, you'll pick one leg up. As that foot goes down, remember, keep the gold thread attached to the hook on your tail, slightly lifting the tail up. We come all the way back and around, length at the back of the neck, and this time we pick the other leg up. We're only going to do 2 of these each side. And lowering it back down, and find the extension of your spine. It should feel really nice if you can get it. Length at the back of the neck and pick the first leg up. And all the way down and wrap around the roller. This is our last one. Length at the back of the neck and picking it up, 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 and all the way down. Now if you can, hands come forwards, pull the arms back, lift up, spin the roller around so that it is like so, and we're going to massage for a second again. So whenever you're ready, tip the hips back, pull that roller up towards the nape of the neck and pull it all the way down. Pull it up and pull it down. Just a couple of these, tip a little to one side, just releasing off that back, tipping a little to the other side, and just one more. And pause. Let your bottom come down, reach the legs away, arms come forwards and come all the way up. Pull the skin from underneath your seat bones and take a little stretch. So the last little thing we're going to do is I want you to take your roller and you're going to position it just by the side of your mat. Outstretch your underside leg and rest your top leg onto the roller like so. Now I'm going to allow my hands just to clasp the middle skull and think about lovely length in the spine. Watch the chin isn't clamped to chest. Now slowly from here I'm going to massage just a couple of times that inner thigh. We'll do one more, reach and back. Now from there allow the top elbow to come down and then slowly start to allow it to come out, the head rests down. Mike, if you need a block or a towel under your head here, then please take it. But my focus is my seat bone. Top seat bone is reaching away from me. And then slowly as I close the imaginary book, I massage again a little bit of that inner thigh. We open, 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 and then we allow it to come back and reach. And on this last one, I want you to pause here, unravel the hands. So we now have an outstretched opposite hand, arm. We're going to take the other hand onto our thigh. You can draw it up a little if you wish. Still pushing that top seat bone away from you. Roll your eyes and really feel yourself look to that outstretched hand. Length through your whole spine and pulling down a little into this top leg
So we get this lovely, lovely stretch. And then slowly all the way back, push yourself up, and we'll do exactly the same on the other side. So from here, underside leg is long, top leg, I try not to put it too close to the top of the roller because it tends to move around unevenly then. Remember, one side will be very different to the other. I'm just sort of lightly clasping my hands. If you notice, I've lifted my head up a little to keep it in alignment with my spine. And then we just massage and back. And again, massage and back. One more, a little massage and back. Now take your time with this. The focus is on that top seat bone pushing away. Elbow comes down and then elbow opens up. I'm trying my best to keep this knee onto the roller, and I'm not letting my elbow come all the way down to the floor on the top side, but I am thinking about reaching my seat bones super long, and again reaching out and all the way over. Middle back rotator is working again. One more, reaching it out and open, 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 open. Let's just go. Last one, reaching and all the way back. Now my head is on the floor. I'm going to reach out my outstretched opposite arm. My other hand comes onto my knee. I'm pushing my top seat bone away and drawing that knee a little up towards me. And I want to look towards my outstretched hand. Remember the importance of the gaze when we talked about early development movement patterns of babies. So really thinking about length through your tail, up through the crown of the head. Whatever feels good to you, push that top seat bone away. And then slowly bringing it back, pushing yourself all the way back up. Sit for just one moment. And relax and lengthen. You can curl your tail a little under. You can lift your back into extension. Curl the tail and lift into extension. Big inhale. And exhale. Thank you both so much. And I hope we see you in person really, really soon. Take care.